So you decide to pack up the bike and go on a multi-day ride. Good for you. Maybe it's a few days, maybe it's a week, possibly more. But what if you run into trouble? What do you pack for emergency situations? I'll show you the number one thing you must pack for emergency situations on this episode of Wrenchie. It's a glorious day. You're out for your multi-day trip. You're riding with your buddies or you're riding solo. Everything's fine up until tragedy. Flat tire, dead battery, you high side, and you find yourself in a ditch. What do? Let's take a look at some emergency supplies you might want to have on hand so you can get yourself out of trouble. So this is the stop and go pocket tire plunger. You get a flat tire, it'll get you back on the road and maybe get to a shop where you can get a proper patch. This is a tire plug kit, but it comes with everything you need to repair your tire on the road, including the tools, the plugs, and even the CO2 gas cartridges to reinflate your tires. You can find this for about under $50 US. It's about £1.50, so it's a worthwhile item to carry. Well, in case you do get a flat tire and you're not really comfortable with those CO2 cartridges or it doesn't work for you, you can always carry a tire compressor. This thing's pretty small. It's neat. It's a 12 volt, 6 amp compressor. It has about a 66-inch hose on it, and it'll hook to your battery tender or alligator clips onto your battery terminals itself. It's pretty light. It's about 15 ounces, just under a pound. It's also very compact, about 7 by 5 inches, and costs you about $33. So let's talk tools. If you don't have your own stock OEM toolkit that came with the bike, or you don't think it's sufficient enough, you can always get yourself an aftermarket one. This one is the Posse. It's about $45, and you can see it comes with all kinds of grand stuff. Allen keys, metric wrenches, and vice grips, adjustable wrench, screwdrivers, etc., even a plug wrench. It also comes with a bag full of typical fasteners that may fall out, nuts and bolts of the appropriate size. This happens to be the metric kit. It also comes in standard as well. And if your battery goes dead, you'll need to jump start it. These are really handy to have. This is from Antigravity. This is their XP1 Micro Start jump starter. It'll jump start a V8 engine, so it'll have no problem jump starting your bike. It's nice because you could either, if you had a flat tire and a dead battery, you could power your compressor off of this as well. It has also ports on it for 19 volt for laptops, 12 volt for all the other accessories you might have. It's got 2 USB, 5 volt for charging any of your USB devices, phones, cameras, etc. And it comes with a light built in, also has a flashing mode for hailing down assistance and whatnot. And it has all the cables and jumper cables as well as adapters for your phones and computers and whatnot for charging. So it's real handy to have. It's not cheap. It runs about $135. They have different models of it for different power settings and whatnot, so you can check those out. If it's dark, you're going to need light. And if you're working on your bike, you'll need your hands. So a headband mounted LED lamp is super critical to have with you. This happens to be the SLONIK 1000 Lumen. It's a rechargeable 2 LED headlamp. It's got about a 2200 milliamp battery, so that's got a lot of power in it, so it'll last quite a while. There's 100 of these types of things online, so any good one will do the job. So if you run out of gas and your buddy has some in the tank, you'll need a way to get some to your bike. So carrying a siphon is really handy. This one is from Aerostich. It's a self-priming siphon system. It's about 4 ounces, so it's very lightweight. It'll run you about $37. You can also just grab a hunk of tube with you and siphon it by mouth, but I don't know if you ever tasted gasoline. It's not the greatest taste in the world. You should always have your cell phone with you, of course, and you can use that for navigation. However, if you're out of range of cell service and you hadn't downloaded the local maps, or maybe you're going off-road where it doesn't show you the trails, you might need something like a Garmin to help you around. These GPS devices are not cheap. They range, but Garmin's are usually around the $400 mark. But they are super useful, and if you can afford it, they're great to have on a long trip. If you can't afford a Garmin, perhaps you can afford some regular maps. These happen to be Butler Maps. Butler, if you're not familiar, is a company that makes maps for motorcycle riders. They have riders go out and ride across all the 50 states, at least in the US. I don't know if they do international or not. But they rate the roads much like ski runs are rated. And not only will it get you to where you're trying to go and if you're lost, but it'll also show you some great routes to take to get there. And then there's the weather. You'll get caught in the rain, no doubt. And if you do, you'll want something to keep you dry while you're riding. So it's good to have some rain gear that you can throw over your current riding gear. There's tons and tons of rain gear that you can find out there, and it ranges from really cheap to super expensive. I've gone and just checked out Revzilla. There's plenty of options there. Check them out. It's useful to have. They do take up a bit of room in your gear. There are some that is fairly compact and comes in like in a tube, in a roll. Those are the ones I search out just for sake of saving space. I think this one's pretty obvious. It's a medical kit. You never know when you're going to need it. You're working on the bike, you bash your knuckles into the metal and cut yourself. You need to bandage yourself up. Scrapes, scratches, who knows. This one's a 121-piece kit. All sorts of bandages, cold packs, gauze, scissors, all kinds of typical stuff. Run you about $22. Well worth the investment and take it along with you. This item's a cool little item. This is an emergency transponder. It'll run you about 150 bucks. It's from Spot. It's their Gen 3 model. It's a satellite-based GPS messenger where it'll send out the emergency signal. There's apps that'll let your friends and family track you, receive messages from you. If you're incapacitated, lost, whatever, and you need help, you can send out an emergency broadcast from this thing, and since it's satellite-based, you'll get a message out, and hopefully help will come soon. There's custom messages you can put out on it, and you do have to sign up for a service agreement. I'm not sure how much that costs, but it's their service. So if you're out ATVing or out on a lot of remote roads or backcountry stuff, this is a pretty good thing to take with you. And usually you can clamp it right on your jacket and within reach, so you can activate it if you're down and you need help. So maybe you've found yourself marooned on the side of the road for the night, and it's getting kind of cold, or it's getting really hot. Either way, some protection is necessary, and you can grab yourself one of these emergency blankets. They're just a reflective mylar. They'll keep you warm or cold, either way. They're super small. They take up almost no room and no weight, so it's worth having one. They're just a few bucks. I think they're like maybe $5 or $6. Definitely pick yourself up one of these. And then there's other things you just want to carry along with you, including bungee cords, zip ties, duct tape, earplugs, things like that. Also, maybe a really good multi-tool. I happen to like the Leatherman line of multi-tools. There's plenty others out there. Leatherman a little bit more expensive, but they're really well made. They'll hold up, and if it's an emergency, you want something that's going to work. The tools on them are reasonable. They'll work in a pinch, and they'll hold up a lot better than I think some of the other makes, less expensive makes do. But a good multi-tool is always handy to have. So that's a lot of stuff you could possibly pack. Do you take it all? Some of it? That's up to you. But I'll tell you, if you need it, It's great to have it. But none of those are the most important thing to pack. The number one emergency item to pack on your long trip is one of these, your spare key. If you don't have this and you lose your key, you're screwed. I don't care what other things you've packed, you're not going anywhere. Now, where do you put it? You could put it on a lanyard right around your neck, just keep it on you at all times. You could put it in your wallet, I suppose. Put it somewhere where you don't normally put the other key. That's the point. You can give it, if you're riding with a buddy, you can swap keys, hold each other's key. Likelihood is you won't lose both. You can hide it on the bike. And for those of you with key fobs, don't forget an extra battery, or minimally change it before you leave. But the extra battery is a good thing to take with you as well. Some bikes, my buddy was telling me about a story of someone who had a Harley that the key fob had to be on and present for the bike to start or run. So without that, again, it's like being without the key. So take extra batteries for the key fob as well. So what do you think? Is this the number one thing you should pack for emergencies? Leave me some comments. Let me know what you guys think. So until next time, give us a like. Please subscribe if you haven't. Ride safe and keep wrenching. Later.